So today we're looking at the new Copilot PCs, and I think this Lenovo Yoga Slim 7X is the best one you can buy. So whenever I'm looking at a new Windows laptop, I'm making a direct comparison to my MacBook Pro because my MacBook Pro is honestly the best laptop I've ever had. Some of the things I'm looking at include really good build quality, so something that's made out of like metal with no flex. I'm looking at something that has a really nice display. I'm looking at something that has a nice keyboard, a nice trackpad, nice speakers. And I think this Lenovo Yoga Slim 7X has all of those things. So first up, we're going to talk about the build quality and material. It's made of a really nice aluminum. This color is called Cosmic Blue. It might be hard to see in the picture, but it's a really nice blue color and it just feels really solid. So there's no flex at all when I'm moving around in this direction. And when I go to open it up, it just feels like a really solid machine. So no flex at all. So this laptop weighs 2.82 pounds and it's 0.51 inches thin. So really thin, really light. It's actually quite amazing. So another reason why I picked up this particular model is the fact that the Yoga Slim 7X, it's actually the least expensive Copilot PC that has an OLED display. It has the higher performing Snapdragon X Elite ARM CPU, it has 16 gigs of memory and 512 gigs of SSD storage. So you basically get everything that I would recommend in a baseline PC at one of the lowest prices possible. So if you were trying to spec this out on the equivalent Mac, it would be much more expensive, and some of these things aren't even available. So the MacBook Pros don't even have an OLED display yet. So one of the things I noticed right away when I started this PC was how fast everything is. So when opening different windows, just navigating the interface, everything is nice and smooth and fast. Animations are really fast as well. And that's the kind of thing I would expect out of a modern machine. Even when I'm navigating really heavy websites like this Apple landing page that has a lot of JavaScript and a lot of elements going on, it's nice and smooth. And then the next thing I noticed was how good the trackpad is. So it's no secret that the Apple trackpads are some of the best trackpads in the game. I've been able to use my MacBooks without having to use like an external mouse for many years now. And I feel like the trackpad on this Lenovo machine is just as good as the Macs. Now it'll take some more long-term testing to really figure out if this is better than the Mac. I don't think it is, but I think it could be just as good and just as usable to the point where I don't have to use an external mouse. Now the next thing I noticed is that they designed their speakers to be up-firing. So I do believe that this type of speaker, the way that it's pointed, is the best way to listen to sounds on a laptop. So a lot of laptops will design it where the speakers are down firing or they're at the bottom. And I always felt like the sound was muffled when the speakers were designed in that way. But these are up firing speakers, so the sound is nice and clear. Now it's not as good as the MacBook speakers, but I think the speakers are pretty sufficient. Now in terms of the keyboard, I feel it's really comfortable and it's actually very quiet too. So I always appreciate a quiet sounding keyboard. Let's see how fast I can type this out. So not too bad, but nice and quiet, very soft feeling keys. It's backlit, so you kind of expect keyboards to be backlit at this point. But overall, very nice. So I don't really have any complaints about the keyboard at all. Next, let's talk about that beautiful OLED display. So this is actually a 14.5 inch screen. It has a screen resolution of 2944 by 1840. It is touch. So you see there it's touch. Even though I don't really use touch very much on laptops, but nice to have. It has a peak brightness of 1000 nits and it's really beautiful. So I don't know how good the camera can capture it, but the blacks are a true black, meaning the pixels in that area are actually shut off. And then you can see these really vibrant colors. So really beautiful display. So in terms of I/O, we have two USB-C ports on one side and then one USB-C port on the other side. I think this is probably my only real critique of this particular model is that the I/O is a little bit lacking. If I compare it to my MacBook Pro, I have the headphone jack, I have an SD card reader, I have an HDMI port. So definitely more I/O on my MacBook compared to the new Lenovo PC, but we're comparing a machine that is hundreds of dollars more. This starts at $1199. I actually bought it used for about $100 cheaper, so I think at that price point, this laptop is really hard to beat. So I've been using this on a daily basis just to see if it's as good as my Mac in terms of just getting through my daily workflow. So I'm still doing testing. I don't have any comments about the battery life right now. Supposedly the battery lasts a really long time, at least all day battery life, so that's really good to hear. But I'm curious what you guys think about these new Copilot PCs. Now, the hot topic with these new Copilot PCs is their artificial intelligence power. So I won't really talk about that in this video, but just know that that's kind of the big selling point with these new laptops. But even if you're not using any of the AI functions, I just think that the performance, the battery life, the build quality, the type of specs that you can get for this price, you wouldn't have been able to get this type of laptop at this price level in previous years. So this is a win for consumers in general, and the more competition that we see from different manufacturers when designing these new Copilot PCs, that's just going to drive the price down. And overall, I think this is a great product for consumers.